What's up, guys? Cody here today with a Thrush game as background. Talk about how I got to gold as support. Um, and it's quite interesting because normally you don't climb as support. And honestly, getting to gold was not that hard for me. Because literally it's just me playing the game. Although gold is considered a decent standard, as if you're gold then you're not bad. That's how it's pretty much considered. um and that's a decent standard to go by, I guess, but it was not that hard to get. It was a lot of it for me is just I don't stay ranked that much. And when I do, it's quite easy. If you actually look at my games for ranked, you'll notice that most of them have been wins lately. Because since I don't play a lot of ranked, what happens is any skills that I acquire from normals don't really get applied. And as a result, there'll be a lot of times where it's just me practicing normals with friends. And I say practice because that's what it is. It's practice. But so I don't really get to. But so a lot of times I'll just go on ranked sprees where I'll play a bunch of ranked in a certain time period, um, and I'll do a lot of my climbing like that. So there'll be spurts. Um, but so just a quick reference: when I did my promos this time around, I got placed in Silver 3, which was not that much of a surprise since I ended season 5 at Silver 3, but that was mostly because once again I didn't play ranked, because then during off season I literally in a matter of a few days got to gold 5 super easily. Um so it's not like it was that big of a deal. I stole that kill. So it's not like it was that big of a deal. Because like I was like, so I know I can get gold. I know that's where I really belong. And it's funny because like if you like some people use Little Nexus. I don't know. Like if you use Curse, and Curse does it. Curse uses Little Nexus. When you're loading up, you can just click on that. But Little Nexus shows me as being gold season, which is nice. But I wasn't. I was Silver 3. But I deserved gold, to be honest. I'm not saying that because I'm feel entitled to it. I'm saying it because I literally legitimately deserved it. Um, if you've seen half my games on this channel, you'll know that better than the I'm better than most everybody in the that I'm playing with. Um, so yeah, like I've be able to pick up champions, and I'll just be like, I'll just play this today, and it'll be like, no, as long as the champion's not like stupid, in terms of the fact that they're extremely underpowered, like Talia was. Talia, I should make a video on her, because she was a pain, and she actually was very similar to early insult, but that's a different story. But she's not fun, but like I'm pretty good. So back to climbing as support. But so I got placed Silver 3, which that's only 300 LP away from climbing. Um, I did have to climb though in this new system. And how I got so high last season was through Gameplank, which you know, Gameplank. For anyone that's seen my Gameplank videos, I am a beast on it. It is no joke when it comes to my Gameplank, and that's how I climbed for the most part. Gameplank pretty much got me from Silver 3 to Silver 2. Um, And from there, it was kind of back and forth for the most part. And then, like I said again, I didn't really play that much. Um, I didn't really play that much ranked anyways, so I didn't really climb that off. But yeah, Gameplank was the main person I was climbing with. There was a point where I was playing Kale, for those of you that remember back in February, March. So she's up there on the list. And then there was a bit of LeBlanc, and there's some ADCs in there. Lucian, I think, is high up on that list. In terms of ADCs. And yeah, I've been playing a variety of things, but I had been playing um I had been playing some support in between all of those games. Uh and with the only reason why I would ever play support would be because I wanted a quick game. And that is the only benefit you get from playing support, in my opinion, in ranked, is that you get the quick game, which is nice. Um, but when it comes to climbing as support, I started to mainly play. I was playing mainly Bard and Thresh, and it pretty much got me from silver to the gold 5, and it was not easy, but it was manageable, quite honestly. It wasn't as hard as I thought it'd be. And that's kind of because I'm a good support. Or at least or at least in those days I was on point, because I mean sometimes my bard is not exactly the greatest. If I'm kind of out of it, kind of tired. I don't really, it doesn't really seem like I'm doing bad. It just seems like I'm not doing good sometimes. But really, sometimes my bard is pretty, if I am not in it. So it was majorly, it was probably like 60% Thresh, 40 or 60% Thresh, 35% Bard, 5% Morgana in terms of supports I played to climb with. Um, and uh, just let you know why those three. Because a lot of times people would climb with Blitzcrank, if they're playing support. I don't like Blitzcrank. He doesn't provide a, like, if you're good at Thresh, you're not gonna play Blitzcrank. Plain and simple. If you know how to play Thresh, you're not gonna play Blitzcrank, because Thresh has a hook like Blitzcrank does. But Thresh has just more options of what he wants to do. He has more like he can hook, then he can lantern E. Like he's got a lot of more options what Blitzcrank does. Blitzcrank, it's straightforward: hook, E, alt, and W to get in range. That's pretty much all Blitz does. And if he fails to do that, then he's done for. Heck, Thresh can do a bit more than that, which is good. And I've said this before: Thresh is my best support. If I had to say who was my best, I'm pretty sure it's Thresh. Um, when it comes to Bard, Bard is my favorite support. And he's not necessarily the best for solo queue. If I had to say. However, he's not too bad. I'm standing here for whatever, but he's not the worst. Because Bard can make some amazing plays if you know what you're doing as Bard, because you can't just play Bard. You can't just pick up Bard. You can't just be like, oh, I'm just gonna play Bard and be a god on him. It does not work that way. To be good on Bard, you have to practice your ass off, and you have to be an actually good player. Um, and yeah, it's just it's not an easy thing to do. Um, so if I see a good bard, I'm pretty happy about that because it's like and I respect the guy because it's not easy to do. A good bard that also knows how to build some. Um, but Bard, he applies immense lane pressure if done right, and depending upon who he's up against. And he provides a bit of sustain when it comes to when it comes to healing. Provides a little bit, but not a lot. Like there was a post about Bard for Riot or something like that, where Bard, in terms of his healing his healing versus damage, he's not in. He's close to the middle, but more so on the damage side. Um, his heals, landing phase, are to kind of help the ADC sustain and to kind of help you sustain if you're depending upon the what's happening. Um, but also, um, in team fights, his heals do come in handy. For just like helping your team survive with just a wee bit of health. But also they provide a movement speed boost. And his E, just to get around the map, nothing really special about that. But his ultimate is where bards will shine. A good bard versus a bad bard is well defined by his ultimate, or at least a good bard to a average bard. Well defined by his ultimate. You've you've watched my videos. You've seen some of mine. You see some of my, you've seen some of my bard alts. They're pretty nice. Um, and that's how that you can be really. You make plays just like you do with Thresh, but they're made in a different way, and that's what I like about it. Plus, I prefer being aggressive in lane. And Bard does that in a safer way than what Thresh does. Bard has more damage than Thresh, so I like. And then when it comes to Morgana's just kind of my safety pick for my ADC. While Thresh and Bard are aggressive, Morgana is not so much aggressive as Morgana is more so like I'm afraid my ADC is gonna be an idiot and die constantly. So I'm gonna get play Morgana for the Black Shield, or if I'm like afraid of a certain champion on the enemy team of getting to my carries, and I know that Black Shield will help prevent that. Um, but for the most part, uh I don't play I don't play Morgana that much, but she is Thresh, Bard, and Morgana are my three comfortable. And yeah, I pretty much climbed with those three. And the main way I climbed was lane aggression. Because if you can be aggressive in lane, then you snowball that into the mid game and end the game like that. You get your ADC fed, and you keep continuing to make plays throughout the game, and you are just pretty much carrying the team to victory, um, while not being noticed at all. And that's how you got to do it as support if you're gonna try to do it like that. You can't play, at least down on the lower elos. You can't play like a Janna or a Soraka. This doesn't really work. You gotta play aggressive supports to win, and that's like if you're planning on if you want to climb as support, um, you're not good if you're not mechanically good. Just play Blitz. It'll work out. But if you're like if you want to climb that support, you gotta play aggressive. Can't really be playing Janna, Soraka down the lower elos. You can do that as you get higher up, but down lower elos, don't do that. It's not consistent. You'll have more consistency with aggressive supports, like I did. Um, and yeah, just a lot of it's kind of luck based, because you can get some pretty bad ADCs. But for the most part, though, if you're down in bronze, I highly suggest that you don't play support ever. I suggest that you just play mid and top and play someone that can carry. But if you're above that, play support if you really like it, because it is one of people don't want to play it a lot. But those that do actually want to play support will typically be really good supports. I say typically because it's always like when you're the ADC you get a bad support, whenever you're a support you get a bad ADC, but it's not as bad as people think. You can carry, as it helps if you play an aggressive support, but like I said, I climbed with Thresh, Bard, and Morgana, and that brought me from Silver 2 to Gold 5. Probably won't be playing as much support anymore, considering that I kind of think I'm gonna start playing a lot of Kennen, since my gameplay got nerfed. But thanks guys for listening to it. I kind of rambled on a bit about a lot of things. But it's me. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe if you did. And if you want some tips on how to play support, I've made a video on how to itemize as one. I'll link it in the description below. So, guys, see you in the next one.